Hi, am I glad to see you? I have bread all over the place because today we're going to continue our series on entertaining, and we're going to do it with sandwiches. Now, I know that may sound a little bit strange to you, but sandwiches have been with us a long time, and they're wonderful things if you make them properly. Who invented the sandwich? No. I know you were going to say the Earl of Sandwich. He was not the dude. He did it in, let's see, in about 1750. John Montague, who was the Earl of Sandwich, was an inveterate gambler, and his chef couldn't get him away from the tables. So he brought him pieces of English bread, not my favorite, with a chunk of meat on it. I bet it was cold mutton, and thus the name sandwich. No, he didn't invent it at all. He's given credit for it, and he has the name. But let's think about the history of bread. Who invented bread? That's where the sandwich was invented. When you consider the fact that bread goes back hundreds, or thousands of years before John's Earl of Sandwich, the oldest breads we have, let me show you. For instance, the pocket bread in the old days was simply served, and you bake this on the desert, was simply served like this. You see, you break it in half, then you tear it into an angle, and everything was a sandwich. You see, you picked up, they didn't even use silverware. They ate everything. They ate their olives with a piece of bread. Now, you're going to tell me this is English? It's not at all. And of course, in our time, you and I can take a piece of pocket bread, which you can find in any good supermarket, and put in a bit of salami and a slice of Swiss cheese, perhaps. Oh, and I have some salad here somewhere. Here we go. And I like to just put the salad right in the sandwich. You see? There you go. That'll do the job. All right? You consider this one of the first sandwiches. Consider also that the Jews invented matzahs on the desert, and after all, the matzah sandwich, which is celebrated at High Holy Days during the Seder, and remember Rabbi Hillel said, put the charoses on top of the radish, on top of the sweet herb, and make another sandwich out of it. That goes back, what, 4,000 years? So don't give me this Earl of Sandwich trip. Sorry, he's out of business. He's just out of business. Besides, I don't like to see him standing at that table gambling away his money when he should be sitting down with some nice soup or a good sandwich. So let's make some good ones. We have a pocket bread, which makes a colossal sandwich. I don't have room to put all of these out. Or let's go to China. There's an old bread. The northern Chinese, you see, have been making something that we call, you know, silly name, but it's the Chinese pancake. These are beautiful. Peter Lowe's restaurant, just up the street from our studio, made these for me. I don't have the time to make them, but you roll them out double. See how thin they are? And look what you can do. You put in a bit of salami. They eat this kind of thing all the time, not with salami and Swiss cheese, for heaven's sakes, but with all kinds of beautiful meats, and you roll this up, meats and vegetables, and you eat it just like a burrito. You see? Did the Chinese invent the burrito? I think so. Don't tell my other friends. All right, so we have Chinese breads. That's an ancient sandwich. Then we have, of course, the Mexican tortilla. And you can do the same thing. I'm particularly fond, well, that's a sticky one. I put these in the steamer, and they don't want to come apart. There we are. That warms them up in a hurry, you see. I want to put some egg salad in this one and pack it in a lunchbox for one of my boys. Channing would just kill for such a thing. He likes parsley on his, so we'll do it. And we'll roll this up and make a quick, there we are. Make a quick Mexican sandwich. It's not Mexican, we're just using Mexican bread. That's great, unless, of course, you put a wet filling in it, and when you hold it up, everything runs out the bottom. Don't do that, all right? Those are all proper sandwiches. Then we can also go on to lefse, which is made in Norway. And Norwegian lefse, when I was a child, I used to call this Norwegian cardboard. My mother used to bake it from scratch. Now I buy it in a box. But it's just hard as a rock. Well, not quite a rock, but it's like an old cracker, a matzah that's been forgotten about, you see. What you do is to moisten it. Do you have extra sinks in your kitchen so you can do this sort of thing? For heaven's sakes, don't live on with one sink. Have sinks at each end of the room. I have 2 in my kitchen and 2 here. My kitchen meaning my home in Tacoma. So that we don't have to fight when we're trying to cook. There, moisten it on both sides. and then you put it under a wet towel. You see how this goes? Put it under a wet towel, and in very short time, cover it up with a wet towel again. In very short time, I have the bottom one here. The thing turns into something that you can actually roll. You see? This is lefse. My grandma Brun used to put butter and sugar. What else she put in it? Butter and sugar and cinnamon. And then roll tons of butter. You know, she's Norsk, you see? And then roll this up, and it makes a heavenly snack for Christmas morning. For me, that's Christmas morning. Lefse. But if you want to play around with meats and roll this up into a jelly roll with meats and cheese, look what you can do with a nice lefse sandwich board. These are, if you'll pardon the expression, Norwegian roll-ups. And you see what I've done here is to roll them up with Swiss cheese. And I don't know what I have in this one. Oh, Swiss cheese, salami, and some cucumber. You see the little cucumber sticks? And these make a marvelous snack. Put this on the board on your big buffet, you see, with a little nice garnish. And you can have a wonderful time with lefse, another old bread from the old world. So I repeat again, the Earl of Sandwich was really not in business when the old girls in the mountains of Norway were cooking this flat bread. Not at all. That's a nice one. Then we can go on to the artists. This is where I go out of business in terms of space. The real artists of sandwich in our time are Danes. I was in Denmark about a year ago, and I could not believe the business people coming to the shops for lunch, and they bought sandwiches. They had no top on them, you see. Look at these. I've got 3 platters of them here for you. These Roquefort cheese, salami, caviar. Aren't these wonderful? Or here's another platter. This one has lox. We have, what is that, herring. And this one is beef tartare with a raw egg in the center. And you buy these in the shop. They use a pancake turner to pick them up and put them on a little satchel for you. And away you go. And just eat and eat and eat. Let's see, where are they going to go? Well, who knows? I'll put them over here for a time, huh? And finally, here's another tray. One of my helpers is very fond of decorating beautifully, and he makes little horns and fills them with eggs. And this is the sort of thing you would see in the Danish markets. Aren't they gorgeous? Now, can you imagine the Earl of Sandwich standing around with a gambling? He has cards in one hand and a chunk of cold mutton on a piece of white bread in the other, and he's having fun. This, incidentally, is on Danish rye. The Rubschlager Bakery here in town, the Rubschlager Bakery here in town did this. And the bread, and it's just wonderful stuff. It has some body to it, you know. You eat something like this, and it actually it's just a piece of support for the Danes. They heap everything on this, but it's wonderful bread, good Danish rye. All right, now let's go on to some legitimate sandwiches for our time that would be good on your buffet. I'm going to have to move a few things here. Well, isn't it fun? You know, when people come into your house, you want them to go, oh, not, they've seen it all before. You don't want that. You want to do some different things. So I'm going to prepare for you today my favorite sandwich from New Orleans, and it's an oyster loaf. What you do is to, let's see, I'm getting everything hot here. Yes, got several things going at once, as usual. I want to cut up a small sandwich roll. This is exactly how they do it in New Orleans. And if they're really fussy, they'll rip out some of the white. But this bread is so fine. This is from a sourdough bakery. You can buy it in San Francisco. And you can buy it in Chicago, and it's called Baudin, and it's legit. I've eaten tons of this stuff in San Francisco, and I was wonderfully happy to find it here in Chicago. Or you can find a regular Italian roll and use that. Now, we're going to put some tartar sauce. It's right here. Put some tartar sauce on this. There we are, in the sandwich. And then we're going to put some oysters. And I've sauteed the oysters in olive oil. Why fiddle around with a paddle, for heaven's sakes? Olive oil, I breaded them in an egg wash. And an egg wash is just a couple of eggs with a bit of milk stirred in, about 2 eggs and probably a tablespoon of milk. And then you dip them in flour and white cornmeal, little salt and pepper, pan fry them in olive oil so that they're crunchy on the outside, and you have a wonderful gift to give to yourself or to your family. Then we need to put a tomato on this. Now this is strictly up for grabs, is whether or not you want a tomato on your oyster loaf. And you might want some lettuce. That's how I have them at Felix's Oyster Bar in New Orleans. Oh Lord, if you're watching in New Orleans, bless your little hearts, all of you. That is the most wonderful eating city. There. This is an oyster loaf. Why do they call it a loaf? I don't know why they call it a loaf, but they do. And it's a wonderful sandwich. Just colossal. There. That's a favorite. Are you ready? Ready for what? Where do they go? Well, it doesn't matter. Then we can go on to another classic that belongs to the people of Philadelphia. And there's a bar just near Independence Hall, the Society Bar, and here is their sandwich. She was very glad to give it to me, and I think you should enjoy it too. First of all, we're going to saute in a bit of olive oil. Remember, keep your pan hot first. Then you put the oil in the pan. Even if you have a good pan like this is covered with Silverstone. It's a very heavy French pan. It's cast iron and enamel on the outside, so it'll hold heat and you can do a lot of cooking at once. A thin aluminum pan, very thin pan, or a thin stainless steel pan will not hold enough heat, and you can't cook this fast. What I want you to do is to throw very thin slices of chopped steak, or sliced steak or sliced roast beef, you see. And I want it to cook right now. I don't want it to cook tomorrow. I don't want it to dry out on you. So there we are. That's plenty for a big sandwich, huh? And we'll saute that quickly as soon as we can find a wooden paddle here. There we go. It's just about done, you see. I don't want to do too much to this. I can just hear you, oh, Lord, look at the smoke in his kitchen. That's why you need a good fan in your kitchen. Don't ever buy one of these fans that recirculates the smoke through a little bitty cheap filter. It won't work because you're going to stand around and breathe that stuff. Even though you can't see the smoke, the oils remain in the air. So get a fan that blows outside. Very important. All right, that's enough. That's done. Now this pan is so heavy and works so well, it's not going to stop cooking. So you're going to say, well, it's still red. I want it a little rare. But now we'll prepare the sandwich itself. It's also going to go into a broiler. I'm going to use a big loaf. This is about about an 8-inch loaf of good Italian or French. This happens to be the sourdough I was telling you about. And this is going to be for more than one person, obviously. I'm just going to take out some of the center. Good Lord, don't throw that away. Save it and make heavenly breadcrumbs. And now onto our bottom loaf here, we're going to put the sauteed, they call it a steak sandwich, but you know, it's really just good roast beef. That's it. Oh, come on. Isn't that awful? Love it. I can just get it on. I don't think I'm going to get it all in there. Well, maybe so. There we are. Now we're set. We're all right. The old finger routine will have to help. We'll rearrange this so that we can get it on here. There. Now we're going to put some, can you imagine? We're going to put some pizza sauce on this. Is this one I want? Yes. Pizza sauce, or coarse chopped tomato sauce, into which you put your own seasoning. But at the Society Bar, they use pizza sauce. Not too much now. Be careful. Then we're going to put some provolone cheese, and that's a sliced, this is a sliced provolone, but that's an Italian smoked cheese. Isn't this wild? This is no snacky poo, you know, this is serious stuff. This goes under a broiler in your oven for, well, for the time that it takes to melt the cheese down. That's what it does. There it is. Whoops. Too close. We don't want to burn the top of the cheese, that's for sure. You know, the best laid plans, oh, never mind. There. That'll be ready in just a minute. Then we're going to top that with some more, with some sauteed onions. I have them ready to go here. We'll top that with some sauteed onions, and I'm going to chop some, whoops, get the lid out of the way here. Chop up some jalapeno peppers. These are all on the menu at the Society as options. Jalapeno peppers are awfully hot, and I don't want you to put too many on and then die. I want the kids to enjoy this sandwich too, so I'm going to just put a couple on while that's melting. See how it's doing, huh? Ah, it's just about done. See, I had my broiler on, of course, ahead of time so that it's ready to fly. Yes. Oh, oh, oh. You make several of these, put them on a buffet, you can feed a lot of people, and they'll just go crazy. Look at that. I tell you to look at it and I won't let you. Isn't that awful? Sorry. Here it is. Here it is. Onions, sauteed, right on the top. This is the optional stuff now, you see. After the basic cheese, pizza sauce, and beef, then you can choose anything you like. And I always choose onions. And then I choose jalapeno pepper. Oh, oh. I'm really going to come apart here. And the lid goes on thusly. How many is that to feed? Well, depends on how much you can take. There. And your normal order in this place would be a half of one of these Though the bread isn't this heavy and rich and good. But look at that, will you? Look at that. It's just wonderful. All right. The famous Philadelphia steak sandwich. And if you have somebody in town who's selling these to you in a drive-in and says that they really have the legitimate steak sandwich, tell them you know the truth, because this is what it is. This is what it should be. All right, a Philly steak. And now we're off to the biggie. I keep telling you this is my favorite sandwich, and I'm not lying. It just depends on which one I had for dinner last night. But on a buffet, this would be colossal. Come in and say, here, have a Philly sandwich, or have a Chinese sandwich, or have a Norwegian lefse sandwich. But this is the biggie. This one is I've got seeds from the jalapeno peppers on the floor. Be careful in your kitchen. Be sure that you have safety features around. You need things like fire extinguishers close to the ovens, you see, all that sort of thing, so that your children are never in danger in your kitchen. Be very careful. You have a serious responsibility to keep up there. Just before you came, I took out my old French croque-monsieur iron and did a fancy French sandwich. These are toasted. It's just toasted cheese sandwich is what it is, but it has ham in the center, and you toast them in this fancy iron, you see. And when you tear it open, why, it's Swiss cheese and ham inside. Very beautiful. Croque-monsieur, you can find these in most fancy gourmet shops. They're beautiful irons, you see. You have a good deal of fun with them. And you just toast them on top of the oven. That's another fancy sandwich. Let's just leave that sitting here somewhere. You can remember that one too, huh? As if we have room. All right, now, the biggie, the classic, my jewel. We're going to make an olive salad right now. And the olives for our muffalata, which comes from the French Quarter, actually down along the river in the beautiful city of New Orleans. When you walk along the waterfront there are several shops making these and selling them, and they all claim they invented them. So I can't give you the answer or even tell you the truth, but I don't think it matters. The one that I like at the Central Grocery is simply superb. Here's what he does, or it comes close to this anyhow. What I'm going to do is to prepare an olive salad in this way. I want 3 cloves of garlic crushed into a bowl, and I want you to do this the day ahead of time, the day before you're going to prepare these sandwiches. I served a dinner party with this stuff the other night for my brothers in the clergy. Each year the United Methodist crowd in our state meet, and I made a whole bunch of muffaladas because I didn't want to stand around and entertain these guys. I see them once a year all together, you see. So I don't want to stand around and work when we're all eating. It's silly. So I made a whole bunch of muffalata sandwiches, and they put them together at the table, and they had a wonderful time. It's easy. 3 cloves of garlic. To that I'm going to add 1 cup of stuffed green olives. These are the cheap olives. They call them salad olives. You see, they were broken up. See what I mean? They're not whole and perfect. It costs too much to buy the fancy ones. You don't have to worry about it. Those will work fine. And a cup of black olives. And I want to just chop those up a tiny bit. There they are. And these are the old bland California black. If you want to use Greek olives or calamatas, that's just wonderful. You'll have a good time. But I want you to make this the day ahead of time so that you can let the flavors blend a bit. Remember, when you're cutting, keep your fingers bent under. You cut this way. Don't you dare stick your fingers out. I'll get you. You know, I prowl around at night, and I peek in windows and watch how you're cutting for your dinner. So I'm going to find out one of these days, and you'll be sorry. Particularly if you're teaching your children to slice. For heaven's sake, teach them to keep their hands out of things. Now, we need a half a cup of sweet red peppers, roasted peppers. You can use pimento, but I prefer these lovely peppers. They're really beautiful. You can buy them under the name roasted sweet red peppers in any Italian market. To that, now we're going to add a cup of olive oil. A cup? Olive oil isn't good for you. Now calm down. Of all of the oils, remember, we have to understand that there's monosaturated, there's polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated oils, which are animal oils, and those are the ones we want to avoid. The worst ones are animal oils. But among the salad oils, olive oil has been proven to be just as helpful in breaking down cholesterol or lessening cholesterol level in your body as anything else you can find. And I was glad when I finally read that study. A very reputable one, very reputable study indeed, because I love olive oil. And my ancestors have been using olive oil for a long time. Okay, cup of olive oil. Isn't that a wonderful sound? Buy good oil. The best oil you put on your salads. Lesser quality you can cook with. You'll get by that way. All right, then we need a couple tablespoons of, about 3 tablespoons of parsley, chopped parsley, and 2 tablespoons, or about that, you see, where is it here, of white wine vinegar. And we'll mix all of that up, and we have an olive salad. That's plenty of tablespoons there too, huh? It's ample. We'll mix all of this up. Well, I have one I made yesterday, so I'll use that instead. Here's what it's going to look like when it's marinated. Looks exactly the same, doesn't it? Big deal, but that's all right. How do you make a muffalata? Well, I made a lot of muffalatas, and I'll show you how to make this one. Nothing to it. First of all, we'll cut up, again, the same kind of bread, this big, round, lovely loaf. I need a longer knife for slicing this rascal. Don't you hate bread that has no body? For heaven's sakes, you wonder what the baker's trying to pull. You know? Yeast is supposed to be a friend. It's not supposed to be a balloon maker. All right, we'll get a little bit of the center out of here. Now, I'm going to save this for breadcrumbs, of course, and a little bit out of the bottom, because this is really too much to eat for one lunch. You'll have half of one of these when you buy one at the Central Grocery. Okay, now you want to drizzle some of the oil on the bread. And remember, it has vinegar in it too, you see. You want to just drizzle the salad dressing right in there. Oh, it's grand. And then we're going to put, let's see, they do this very carefully down there. We're going to put Italian salami on it, or Genoa. Genoa is the best. It's a very mild salami. We'll put about 1/3 of a pound in there. This is a sandwich. Oh, this is a party. I would serve these in quarters or sixths if you have it on your buffet at home. Then you would have put in some provolone, or you can put Swiss if you like, or put in several slices. These things are just gargantuan when you see them in the streets down there, if they're made properly. And then we'll put in some a milder cheese. Let's see, where is the milder cheese? Well, I've got a platter of it here somewhere. Well, I don't see it. Oh, it's right in front of me, no wonder. Don't laugh it up. That's happened before, isn't it? Well, it happens in your kitchen too, I know. This is a Havarti, a mild Havarti cheese that I've sliced ahead of time. Gosh, it looks like 2 is going to be enough, doesn't it? Yes, that is. Then we'll top that off with a marvelous meat from Italy called mortadella. I think it means little deaths because of the little pieces of fat they put in it. This is the ancestor of bologna. And we'll put the mortadella in here. And on top of our Genoa salami, our provolone, Havarti, and you're wondering, where is the olive salad going to go? Well, if there's any room, love, it'll go on top. We'll see. And finally, we'll put in a good scoop of this wonderful salad. Look at this. This is one sandwich. Well, remember, you're watching a serious eater. There. Now, you have to have this top hollowed out of it. You see, you've got to get some of this out of the center, or you're never going to be able to close this thing up. There it is. All right. A muffalata from there. Oh, God bless New Orleans. They are just so neat. I don't even know what to put that on. Here we go. All righty. There you are. There's a muffalata, and you can have a lot of fun with one. Oh, stop it. That's so bad, I apologize. Now, let's talk some more about how you're going to arrange these things on a buffet. I would simply line up all of your sandwiches in an attractive way so that people can come by, and first of all, they want to gape. That's the point of any kind of a buffet. Secondly, let them know that you don't expect them to take one, you expect them to take several, and that they're to come and go regularly. You see, back and forth across the buffet, and taste all of these good things. You'll be the talk of the town, I promise, because they're interesting things, and it's a little unusual to be invited to a party and eat nothing but sandwiches. And some nice wines or some beer, perhaps. Let's see. I'm trying to make room for this, for the whole works here. I think we've got it. I think we've got it. All right. Muffalata is really my favorite. Let's go through these now. Are you ready? We started. We're not going to mention the little bitty ones, but the lefse sandwich is for me a classic, because you can put anything you want in this, from jellies and jams and anything you want. The oyster loaf from New Orleans, I would kill for one from Felix is right now. No, I wouldn't, but I would certainly cry a lot. The muffalata from New Orleans is a beauty, and bless the Danes because they're artists. The old muffalata, and then the Danish sandwiches can go on and on and on. Now, if you have friends who eat a lot, then it may be that you're going to have to use a bigger sandwich. All right? So my friends at the Baudin Bakery made me a bigger loaf. You see? Now, if that's not big enough for you, then there are other possibilities. I have a friend by the name of Bosco. Bring it on, guys. I have a friend by the name of Bosco at our studio, and Bosco will eat anything. So Chris and Michael made a sandwich for him. What is that, 6 feet?
6 feet.
Uh-huh. How many pounds of meat? You could put in about 10 pounds of meat in one of those things unless you're careful. How many would it serve?
15.
15 at least. At least. But not of the crew. Not of our friends around here. This one's for Bosco. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, with that, we should understand that we're eating a very ancient product, the sandwich. Remember, this is a French bread, you see. Remember that the French used to sit out in the fields and eat bread and meat together long before the Earl of Sandwich was gambling away his father's money. And remember that in China, the sandwich was eaten in the northern regions 1,000 years before the Earl was making a fool of himself at the tables. And the Middle Eastern bread was baked on the inside of an oven, a big dome oven, and you'd slap the dough. It looked like a pancake. Slap it in the inside of the oven. It would blow up like a balloon. Then you would catch it, take it out, tear it in half, and it was used as a eating device so that everything became a sandwich in the Middle East. So that's the story, and I'm sure it's legit. What I want you to do is remember that the advantage of entertaining this way is that you can sit down and laugh and watch your guests have a grand time. Have a sandwich with them, you see, and you don't have to do any work in the kitchen. It's all been done, and you are free to enjoy your guests. And that's the point behind cooking all day long for people you love. Otherwise, we're just cranking out bad food, and you can buy that at the supermarket. So set up a buffet, bring on your friends, pour some good cold beer, a very decent wine, and think about the glories of the sandwich, not from the Earl, but from the Chinese and the Arabs and the French and the Danes and your own house. Have your kids help. You'll have a field day. Until I see you again, eat well. This is the Frugal Gourmet. I bid you peace. Bye-bye.